Alright, today I'm going to make something that I made before with much success, braised breast of veal from the French Laundry cookbook. And you'll notice, I know people freak out about veal, but this is humanely raised. Animals are raised in barns that allow them to socialize with other animals. Not that that doesn't help when you actually slaughter them, but... And also, I just washed this. So I just wanted to say you always wash your meat, and because you never know if it's been in this plastic, if it's developed, some kind of off flavor. I mean, you can smell it if it has, but you just make a practice to always wash it first so that it's as pure as it can be before you start handling it and dealing with it. So this is basically what it looks like, and you're going to start it cooking it just like this. You're not going to do anything to it. First thing to do is to salt and pepper both sides, and I always use diamond crystal salt because that's what Thomas Keller uses, and also it's got a certain feel to it, and it's harder to over salt with it because the crystals are kind of like porous, so they're not, for each crystal, it doesn't pack the same kind of salt content as a same crystal would with regular like Morton salt or something like that. Also, this salt is kosher, so there's no iodine in it, and that makes a difference too, because iodine can have some slightly light metallic taste. I don't have any pepper grinder right now. I do have a pepper grinder, but it's got white pepper in it mixed in with a blend, and white pepper is a funny thing. It's got a really unique, kind of strong taste. You think it's white because you think it's light because it's white, but it's really quite strong, and it's a totally different taste than black pepper. And so I only use it for things, in very small quantities, like for cream soups or, I don't know, other, like maybe some savory custards or something like that. So I just mashed up some regular pepper corns in my mortar and pestle, and I'm using that to salt and pepper my veal breast. So you don't want to overdo the pepper, because one of the things about when you cook veal is that because it's such a light meat, you almost want to think of it as like, dare I say, chicken, because the way you would treat chicken, you wouldn't cook it in a real heavy way like you would beef. So it's sort of along the same idea as that. You don't want to cook it in a really heavy style. You want to keep it as light and clean and pure as possible. So I started heating up the pan already. It's getting pretty hot. I like to use peanut oil in a lot of braising recipes because it's got a pretty clean taste, but it's also it's got a richness to it that a canola oil won't have. Thomas Keller uses canola oil in pretty much all of his sautéing and braising and things like that because I think he just likes the purity of the ingredients to come out. But Tom Colicchio always uses peanut oil, and I think I prefer the peanut oil because it's just got a little bit more richness than the canola oil when you get to the final product. And I know we talked about veal not making it too rich, but that it's really a moot point when you're talking about an oil, the difference between peanut and canola, because peanut and canola oils are both light oils. And so now I've got about 1/8 of an inch of oil in there, and I want the pan to be really hot, so when I put it in there, it sizzles and pops like that. And you start with the breast, the meaty side down, and then you saute it for, not for a long time, but just so that it's very lightly browned on each side. So I've sauteed the veal. You can hear it sizzling and popping. And I've done both sides. And I'm going to see that, but this is sort of how I ground it, like that. And the other side won't cook that much because it's concave or convex, whatever you like to call it. So once you've sautéed that, then you're going to put what you call a mirepoix together. And a mirepoix is a French term for just a mixture of carrots, onions, and sometimes celery. But in this case, it's going to be carrots, onions, and leeks. And I've got the onions cut. You can actually cut them sort of like in quarters, because if the mirepoix is going to be thick chunks of the vegetables that you're not going to actually eat. You're going to use them to make a stock out of the braising liquid that you braise the meat in. So, but you do want to put it in and saute them a bit to let the oil take the flavors on of the vegetables. So you can cut them, like I said, in big chunks. Like these are the chunk size of carrot that I cut. My spoon is in the dishwasher. My spoon. But wooden things are good. Okay, so I have my leeks too, which I haven't put in yet because I wanted to show you. Thomas Keller calls at the center of every leek, he calls it a jewel. And what it is, it's the round center that's in every leek that's really, really tender. And you can pull it out. It's sort of like, this is sort of a little bit big, but it's just the very, very center of the leek. And it's very subtle and very tender. And what you do is you save it, and you can use it at the end when you garnish the dish. So I'm pulling out these little centers before I throw my leeks in. But like as I said before, the leeks can be in big chunks because you'll be straining them out anyway. So here's another, what Thomas Keller would call a jewel from the leek. So also the oven should be on 325. And once you've sauteed your vegetables a bit, then you can put your veal breast back in the pan. And you're going to put some liquid on top. But before you do, you need your herbs. And he calls for about 4 sprigs of thyme. So I've got some thyme here that I was growing in the garden. It smells good. So sort of about 4 sprigs. And again, you're going to be straining all this out, so you don't really have to pull it off the stems. He also calls for about a half a cup of Italian parsley. So I would guess that's about a half a cup. And you don't have to chop it. So to recap, we've got the vegetables, the veal breast, the vegetables, the herbs, and then 1 bay leaf. Then we put our liquid in. And the thing about liquid is he calls for some veal stock, which I haven't made. And this is another corner I'm cutting, which, you know, they would never do in the French Laundry, but